Awesome. Welcome and good morning. It's a great day to be alive. Oh, we've got a great guest coming on today. Oh, I'm telling you, we've got so much to be thankful for in all this, what's going on in the world around us. But I'll tell you that it's great if we can all understand how important it is for our core beliefs and our core values to be aligned with our vision. Because that is where we truly are in our zone, where we begin to have the ability to do what we think we're supposed to be doing. And it really is what we're supposed to be doing because it's aligned with our vision. And that's so important. You know, there's a lot to be said for taking those blinders off at times so you can see the world around you. But at other times, keeping those blinders on to be able to focus on what your vision is. That's important. And I'll tell you our guests, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about guests that are coming up at the end of the show, but we've got some really cool ones. But no one is cooler than the guest we have coming on today, who is our friend, Mr. David Veech. Hey! Good morning, David.
Man, I'm loving this energy. This is very good. Very good for me.
Well, thank you. I'm so good to hear that. Glad to hear that. Hey, can I ask you a question?
That's why I'm here.
Well, tell me, when is your first recollection of knowing your vision?
My current vision started pretty much when I retired from the Army. My vision involves bringing people out of poverty. And I chose to build a strategy around helping organizations be more effective so they can hire more people and be more effective employers and then keep people employed. And that's kind of been my angle to address this need to lift people out of poverty. And that was probably right after I got out of the Army, started teaching at the University of Kentucky, started running into businesses that were having trouble with that. And that led to what I'm doing now.
Wow. If you want to hear more, stay right there. David, thank you so much for being on. Before we get started, though, I want to encourage all our listeners to share this video out with as many people as you can think of. And David, I want to encourage you to do the same thing.
Yes,
so
please.
You've been included on some posts in LinkedIn and as well as on Facebook. So you can do that. If you can share this video out, that would be great. Also, I want to encourage our listeners to put a picture in your timeline, a picture of you winking. And when you wink, I know it sounds like an odd request, but when they wink, I want you all to begin to understand what makes you unique. Now, I wink permanently, but what I say to everybody, my wink is not what makes me unique. My wink is my positive personality and how I will share my story with other people to have a lasting impact on their lives. So, if you start to wink and take a picture and put that in your timeline, I want you to think, okay, well, if this guy next to me, if this guy, me, knows what makes him unique, and it's not his eye, I wonder what makes me unique. That's really where all the learning kind of begins. So thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate you. And if you put it in your timeline, you're going to be entered into a raffle to win a signed copy of my book. Sometimes it does take a brain surgeon. And you'll get a copy of that if you win the raffle. So, having said that, David.
If you don't win the raffle, just go and buy it. It's worth buying.
Well, you can do that too. But also, I want to make sure that we understand a little bit more about you and helping people out of poverty. This is a pretty cool thing, and I didn't know.
Well, it kind of started with being in poverty myself, and I grew up in Kentucky, and I won't say that we were poor, but we ate a lot of peanut butter and a lot of beans. So everybody, we seemed to have a great, happy childhood. I had 2 brothers and a sister. Never really wanted for anything that we knew of, but we certainly were a modest family. Through the Army, I got in the Army out of college, was a second lieutenant in the infantry, and I've never been like the world's best saver and money manager. So,
Yeah.
And they don't pay you a ton of money to be an officer in the Army anymore. And so it was when you're married and you've got kids on the way and things like that, it gets pretty tight every single month. And it made me really sensitive to things like minimum wage and hourly schedules and how much work people actually get to do. And I understand all the concerns about inflationary things and about losing jobs by increasing the minimum wage. But what we're trying to do is make work really marvelous. I want to make work marvelous so people find jobs they love, and so leaders design jobs that people love. It's really their responsibility to create the kind of work that people love to do. And if you accept that as a responsibility, it really changes your mindset about building processes for pretty much anything. So I learned I was in grad school. The Army sent me to grad school. So it wasn't enough being an infantryman. They decided to put me in the acquisition business. So first thing they did for that was like, well, you got to go get smart again. So I went off to Clemson. I got a master's in industrial management there after a couple of years. And there's where I learned about lean thinking. So we read the book, The Machine That Changed the World by Dan Womack and Dan Jones, or Jim Womack and Dan Jones. And I had a professor who says, yeah, here's the whole idea, but it's all academic. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to be academic. And so I spent the next, I guess it was about 10 years, the next 10 years in the acquisition business, working with defense contractors who were trying to be as profitable as possible and keep their government contracts. And so they do all kinds of weird different things, like subcontract work to every congressional district they can, just to make sure they make the budget next time around. But I did that, and I actually saw people trying to apply what they thought was lean thinking and what they thought was operational excellence. And what it ended up being was a whole lot of cost cutting. And so it created an environment where it was threatening. If you had a great idea that was going to reduce the number of people that a particular process would take, why would you tell anybody if you knew you were just going to get laid off as a result? And unfortunately, too many companies kind of did that with their initial approach to continuous improvement and lean and operational excellence. Cut, makes everybody more profitable, but destroys a lot of jobs, destroys a lot of lives. So there's another way to do this. There's got to be another way to do this. So I really started hunkering down and really started studying. I got hooked up with the guys at the University of Kentucky who have a partnership with Toyota. Toyota's plant is about 12 miles from the University of Kentucky. And while I was teaching at the Defense Acquisition University in Dayton at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, I kind of built a partnership with the guys at Kentucky. They taught me a whole bunch of stuff. We went to Toyota 100 times. And then they ended up hiring me when I retired from the Army in 2001. So they hired me actually 6 months before I retired. I started teaching for them. It was a blast. One of the professors there is a guy named Arlie Hall. And I was in his class on operations management, and he shared some things that just completely changed my thinking about the purpose of lean. And it was way more about people than anything else. It's about trying to create a particular culture. And when I got that spark, I started learning much more about problem solving. I actually wrote my first book about problem solving in 2010. And the most important thing about problem solving is not getting to a solution, but it's getting the skills required for that in the future into the brains of all of your people. And so that kind of focused my research. And then you can't really do that unless leaders understand their role in all that. Because in most organizations, leaders think it's their job to solve the problems. People come to me with problems, I solve the problem. Or worse, people come to you with problems, you say, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. Neither of those is helpful. So we've got to have leaders that understand the skills required and how to actually allow people to build those skills by solving real problems. And the leader behavior really turned into my next research focus. And that was my second book, was Leader Science, published in 2017, where it was much more about leadership, but it's about how all of the things that we teach in Lean that are great for all the stuff we used to use it for. But if we just turn our thinking a little bit toward people, we get a whole different kind of culture that people want to be a part of, that makes people want to continue to work, and that really forces an organization to thrive instead of just survive. And I've been trying to teach that to people ever since.
Huh. So you spend a lot of time on the problem side as well as the leadership side.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're really linked hand in hand, because if leaders don't know how to think critically and challenge their people to think critically and do a proper analysis, then what they end up doing is controlling everything. And the one thing I've clearly learned is any complex system, especially an organization, is impossible to control by yourself. So the only way to really control any kind of complex system is to let go and let other people do their job. Yeah. And then your job becomes making sure that they understand what their expectations are, that they've got all the resources to succeed, but you stay out of their way and let them do their thing. That's one of the things that people love about it.
I've heard a lot about critical thinking and critical problem solving. Is that similar to what you're talking about from a problem perspective?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. So
whenever you experience a problem, if you don't think critically about what's really happening, you might draw all kinds of wrong conclusions, and then you identify the wrong problem, go through all the analysis of the wrong problem, solve that wrong problem very well, and not have any impact on the performance of the organization. So it's really important that we do that critical thinking up front to get to the right problem and break it down to a size that actually people can solve, instead of saying, oh my God, the problem is so big, we don't even know where to start. So we teach you how to start, teach you how to break it down, how to think through everything. It's a blast doing it too. I love doing it.
So that's what you do. All this time, you and I know each other, I didn't know really what you did. That's fascinating.
Well, it's fascinating and fun, and it gets the coolest results. I mean, people do things that you never thought they would.
Even Eric Bam comes on and says problem solving is an art. Wow. And Eric, to say that's amazing.
and he's absolutely right. Now, there's a lot of science behind it, but the art is in the thinking and in the creative result that you want to produce. The art is in the leadership skill that draws that out of your talented people, even the people you never thought would be the most talented in the workplace. They can have fantastic ideas if they're allowed to. We spend a lot of time trying to control everything.
Yeah. I mean, to go back to the critical thinking, critical problem solving, that makes me wonder, are there other areas, other environments, other industries where they should be utilizing this?
Every industry, every business, every nonprofit, every government agency experiences problems. Mm-hmm. Everyone has an opportunity to think critically through these. I mean, we had last year, around this time last year, we all in the speaking world, in the consulting world, we were all faced with a huge problem about what are we going to do now that we're locked out of our clients' locations. Right. And so we had to think critically, and some of the some of the solutions that people have come up with to pivot and go make virtual exchanges every bit as engaging as a live kind of event has just been a spectacular development that I don't know that we ever want to go fully back. Yes, I love live events. Yes, nothing beats a live audience. Yes, nothing beats the feedback and the tactile exchange with other human beings. But we've gotten so good at this virtual approach through all this practice that I don't see it going away once things get under control and the vaccine gets out and we all have immunity.
Right. Huh. So I'm fascinated because my daughter and all my kids have been through different classes in their school where they've done critical thinking, critical problem solving. What is it about the critical problem solving that's different than just regular problem solving?
Well, you have to look at what you've experienced from multiple perspectives. And the critical thinking piece just allows you to see those different perspectives. And I simplify it. I mean, the complexities involved in critical thinking and the things that our brain can do are fascinating, but they fill books. I mean, books and books and books on critical thinking. One of my favorite is how to think about weird things. And it tells you how to think through things like UFO encounters. And so what I do is I simplify it down to a simple formula of just ask who, what, when, where, and how over and over and over. And then once you get those defined and figure out what your problem is, then start asking, why did that happen? And we're going to ask why until we figure out why it happened, get to that root cause. Usually, I mean, the tool is 5 whys. You ask why 5 times, going deeper every time. And then my goal is to have them come up with 5 ways to solve the problem. So I'm going to lead everybody through 5 whys to figure out what's causing it, and then come up with 5 different ways to solve the problem and be as creative as we possibly can.
Interesting.
That's how we demand creativity and actually build creativity as a skill instead of just saying, ooh, Brian's the most creative. Let's just ask him.
Yeah.
Everybody who has a brain is creative.
Yeah. Well, Randall here wants to use our critical thinking for the Mexican border issues.
Oh man, we need critical thinking about all kinds of issues facing this country. So we got plenty of problems.
Yes.
So I'm available. So you can.
And Lisa likes the 5 whys. So that's cool. That's good. Good. So if there's any other questions or comments, either way, please put them into the chat. And as always, put in a hashtag of live if you're listening live, and let me know where you're coming in from. And then also, if you're listening on replay, put in a hashtag replay, and then let us know where you're coming in from. That would be great. Thank you very much. Wow. So David, you this is all new for me. So I'm wondering, what is it that you do, or how? Let me rephrase that. What would you consider your biggest reason, or the biggest reason for your success?
I think that I learned early enough that I am extremely fallible. And I think that lesson.
That's a big word for me and for me. What's fallible mean?
When I started off in the Army, like most people who start off in the armed services, you have to think you're indestructible. I mean, to do the kind of things we have to do in combat, you have to think yourself indestructible. Now, I was extremely fortunate. I made it 20 years in the Army without ever getting shot at. So I'm grateful for that.
That's good.
But I also made the mistake of thinking I was right all the time. And it was pretty much my way. And I would make overtures as if I were listening, but I really wanted it my way. And I learned pretty early that it didn't last very long. Didn't get people to do what you needed them to do, and cause more problems. And I finally learned, mostly by studying other people, that was a dumb thing to do. And because I made too many mistakes, that was it. I mean, you just make too many mistakes and get it wrong too often. Fortunately, none of my screw ups cost anybody lives or anything like that. So I'm very, very grateful for that as well. But being able to set aside your own biases, and we've got plenty, and being able to take the time to really put yourself in somebody else's shoes and listen to what they're saying and believe that their ideas are more valuable than your own. That kind of got me down this path of leadership that led to, I think the only three things that a leader needs to do on a daily basis is love, learn, and let go. Okay. So that loving piece is, I'm going to put your needs above mine. I'm going to hear everything you have to say. We're going to think critically through that together, and then we'll go forward with whatever is best. Not my way, not your way, maybe. We'll go forward with whatever we can create that's best. And I think that's a very loving kind of behavior. It also forces us to learn.
Love, learn, let go. And there's another L in there. There is listen, which you already said is part of love. So that's good. Love, learn, and let go.
My fourth one is connect. I've
That's
been
not an L word.
Another L word. I thought link maybe, but it just didn't make sense because it goes with being more charismatic. So the first part of this, I mean, to actually make the decision to love really puts you in the role of a servant leader.
Yeah.
And in my research, the most effective leaders for the long term have all had this servant leader foundation where they place the needs of their people above their own.
Interesting. So Randall thinks you're needed in Washington right now.
I would go in a heartbeat.
And there's Linda Kazera on, and then yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate you, David. That's for sure.
It was an honor.
Yeah. Well, wow. There is so much here to ask you, and we've already gone through a lot of our time already. I need to make this show longer.
Hey, I'll come back. I love talking to you, Brian. This is a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate it, David. So let me ask you, and you talked about what your biggest reason for your success is. What are some challenges you're still trying to overcome?
Oh, my biggest challenge is marketing and sales. I have been so blessed throughout my whole career, where whenever I needed a client, it's like poof, landed just in time, right?
Yeah.
And I never built the skills or the systems that I need to kind of have this pipeline of leads and potential clients coming through, or speaking engagements or podcast interviews. I never had this kind of system that I was able to stay ahead of that. And so for the past few months, I've been trying to build that out. Kind of had to face that reality during the pandemic that if I don't build something, it's going to be pretty lonely. So I'm doing more, trying to stay in contact with my previous clients who all have, who most have wonderful things to say about me and have frequently welcomed me back. So I'm trying to stay in touch with those guys. I'm trying to really figure out the true identity that I want to put together and that I want to offer as a service to really humanity. If I'm trying to lift people out of poverty, it's everybody's a client, right? So I'm trying to find the best way to package up and tell people what it is that I do. And you and I, this is an indicator of this problem. You and I talk every week, don't we?
Yeah.
You just found out today some of the stuff that I do. That tells you what a strong arm kind of sales guy I am.
That is funny. That's for sure. So your vision is to help people out of poverty. That's your vision.
Yeah.
What are your blind spots, and who helps you to see your blind spots?
Well, I have guys like you.
Yeah, right. Well,
I tell you,
I try.
my experience since I met you at the National Speakers Association National Conference out in Denver,
Yeah.
and um, you introduced yourself as Brian with one eye. I was like, what the hell? What? And I was like,
I
okay,
know what's wrong.
that's kind of cool. That's it. That's kind of a unique qualifier, unique identifier. And I have, I'm a member of the Thought Council of the C-Suite Network as well. I joined those guys shortly after Influence as well. I met Jeffrey Hazlett, and we had some fantastic conversations, and he invited me in.
Mm-hmm.
And that group of people is extremely helpful, and I can reach out and they'll make time to talk with me. And but my clients as well are often the most valuable exposers of my blind spots, because we'll have a conversation about certain things, and if I'm listening and sensitive to that, they'll tell me everything I need to know about what I'm missing. And I've got a couple who will actually tell me very directly what I'm missing.
Rather bluntly.
But the good thing is, because we have a relationship where I listen to that and with respect, and they share that with respect, it's really helpful, and we can go forward from that. So I've enjoyed those interactions. I go into every client engagement with I don't have, this is my solution, we're going to install this solution, right? I've got, what's your problem and how can I help? And I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I can draw from because I've been doing this for a long time. So let me help. I mean, one of my most fun experiences are with professional consultants who are serving clients' needs all over the place. I've got a couple of former MBOE students. MBOE is the Master of Business Operational Excellence program at Ohio State, where I used to teach.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of those graduates who have called me periodically saying, hey, I got this client and they're doing this and it's driving me crazy. What can I do? And we've had some good conversations around those things. And I would love to kind of build a business where I can help those younger consultants when they face things they haven't seen before. I'd love them to just give me a call. Let's hash some of those things out, and I'll see if I can share my experience and make a difference that way.
Wow. That is incredible. It really sounds like you are aligned. Your vision is aligned with your core strengths. You know, that's so important for us all to understand how important it is to. I know there are shiny objects out there. There's really cool things. You know, I'm not going to go into it too much, but I want to make sure that everybody else listening to this understands that we all have shiny object syndrome. We all like to go towards things that are more fun or whatever. But if we know what our core strengths are, our core beliefs, our core values, then we know what our vision is and how it should be aligned with that. I mean, David, you're doing what you should be doing.
That's good to hear, because I do have quite a few shiny objects that I chase after. I mean, who buys a professional ultimate Frisbee team? This guy.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, we've got a 32 team professional ultimate Frisbee league, and I bought a franchise for the very first season back in 2012.
Really?
And we had 8 teams in the league then. So I bought that after I was looking for a machine shop to buy. It sounded like fun. So I get into this sports management, sports marketing business, and this baptism by fire. And it was way more money than I could afford. Fortunately, an investor came and bought the whole league up the year after. So I'm not the owner still, but I still have fond memories. I mean, if you can, let's see. I got 2 Frisbees there on the wall back there. Yeah. Those are remnants of that thing. And then the current shiny object is travel.
Yeah.
I love to travel, love to see new things, love to experience new cultures, and just get exposed to all these different ways to think about your existence, right? Yeah. And so to learn more about travel and to learn more about the travel industry, because I would love to do this lean coaching and operational excellence stuff for airlines and
Mhm.
4 cruise lines and 4 hotels, because everybody who travels knows how frustrating it can be. So I would love to do it for those guys and for the government, but the travel is way more fun. So I actually have a travel agency. I am a certified and accredited cruise counselor. I've done so much training for that, and it allows me to see problems in a factory from a
Mhm.
completely different perspective, so I can ask better questions about their experience and hopefully help them come to more creative solutions.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
Oh,
All right. Hey, we're at the end of our time, but is there something else you would want to leave our audience with? And yes, you're going to come back someday soon. So,
um, I'll encourage your audience to continue to try your best to get past the biases that we all have and to see things from other people's perspectives. When we are so polarized in the country right now, that the more that we're able to do that and share the experiences from both sides, I think the more likely we're going to be able to come to joint solutions that make a lasting impact for the country. And so just keep building those relationships, keep critical thinking, and just do good. Just do good. Be nice to each other.
yeah.
Okay? I'm happy to offer a free copy of the problem solving book. You can download that from my website. I'll make sure that you've got the link and everything else. And you can book a call with me. I'd be happy to talk to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Hey, I'm gonna wait. Well, I'm gonna close out the show, but I'm gonna send you to the green room. If we can talk a little bit after
Absolutely.
I close the show out, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
All right. Take care, David. Wow. What a great show. What a great show. Great. David Veech is phenomenal. I had no idea that he could provide such value. And I didn't mean that it sounded that way. It sounds wrong. But oh my gosh, it's incredible to see and to hear about what he's up to. So that's great. And we've got other great people that are coming on tomorrow. We've got a great show lined up for you for the 10 o'clock, the Vision Alignment Show, where we have Craig Adams coming on from the Golden Gate Breakfast Club. That's right, San Francisco. He's coming in from the GGBC. And then at 11:30, we have Greg Sini coming on, and he is the leader of the Kemper House, actually the owner of the Kemper House, which is a facility here in Columbus, Worthington actually, where they provide care for Alzheimer's and dementia patients. So that is another memory care. That's how I should say that. Anyway, we've got great shows coming up. We've got other good stuff coming up for tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. And as always, keep one eye on the road. Thank you. Bye.